This is how you can get professional looking content and fool your audience into thinking that you got this really slick studio. This is kind of thrown together with a bunch of secondhand materials and things that we had laying around. Use it in the right way and get great results. You don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. Oh, the last thing. Here, come here. Okay, so this is the inside of the office and studio space we've been renting for over a year here in Chiang Mai. And people would see our YouTube content and things like that and go, oh, wow, you have such a cool space. And then I would just say, well, we are making really good use of the space that we have. So this is my uncle's business here in Chiang Mai. He runs a secondhand car dealership. This is the second floor. They're only using the first floor, really. And so over a year ago, I was like, you know what? You're not really using this up here. Can I rent some rooms? So we cleaned up some of the rooms, painted, and we've been using it a lot. But today we're actually moving out. So I thought a lot of people actually, once they saw the space and saw what we were able to make on YouTube, but with so little, they were like, please record a video showing how you did that. So this is an old kind of office building here in Thailand, very typical. There's teak flooring that's old and scratchy. Here's a kitchenette that the company uses, not my team, but the company. So come on back. So this is where we would come once or twice a week and do some co-working. And obviously we're clearing everything out today, so it's looking a bit empty. We put some egg carton on the ceiling to cut down on the boominess of the room. But yeah, this is where the team would gather. But they like to work from home. And so instead of continuing to try to get people to come into the office, I'm just embracing it and moving to another solution. This was another room that we had available to us. Nice views of the trees and stuff, but we didn't actually use it. This was going to be a space where we were going to have some couches and like coffee bar and things like that. It ended up being just storage for all our construction materials, extra tripods, all our extra egg crates that we got from a studio that closed down here. So yeah, never really used that for what we were hoping to use it for. So here's our YouTube studio. Come on. This is where we shot all our YouTube content. As you can see, the ceiling is full of egg crate. We got some nice curtains here to deaden the sound, but this is kind of thrown together with a bunch of secondhand materials and things that we had laying around. Let me walk you through it. So we had a big teleprompter here where the camera would go. We had a Lumix G95 camera with a prime lens on it, 35mm. I was borrowing it from a friend, so I've given it back to him now, so it's not, the teleprompter is not here, but this tripod is kind of standing in for where that was. And so we would just have our laptop here and HDMI into the teleprompter, and boom, people could come in here, rent, hook up their laptop, and boom, they were ready to go, chatting off the teleprompter, recording their videos. This table, as you can see, is old and fallen apart. This chair where people would sit, or I would sit to make content, is old, falling apart, super hard, which keeps your back upright during the video. It's actually pretty good for making sure that you don't relax too much. But even these lights here are secondhand. We got on Facebook Marketplace. People were leaving or just didn't need them anymore. And so we got some good deals on those. And then if you come around here, I'll show you the background. Here's our background. We have a light against this dark gray wall. So we turn that off. You can see how that changes things. And then this little light here, which I got for Christmas from a good friend. So of course had to put it in here. Changes colors. Very pretty, very pretty. Even this plant came from one of our team members who was like, my mom has this jungle of plants outside, I'll donate a plant. Some of my favorite books, Dune, marketing books, all kinds of good stuff in here. Surfing the Asian Wave, that's a really good book. An old Minolta camera from like the 1960s. Anyway, so when you're creating a little studio like this, we got our, backlight, fill light, key light. One of the most important things, and it's really tricky initially, is the spacing, depending on the camera that you have, between the camera, the subject, and the background. So in this case, you want the background to be kind of blurred out and not take too much focus. And the way that it's framed depends, of course, on your lens, etc. So people would walk in here and they would not believe when I said this is where we shoot our content, because the content looked really good. Now, that was with some color correction, some light color correction and things like that. But at the same time, the only thing that matters is what the camera sees. So it doesn't matter that, part of the table is missing here, or the floor is scuffed up and covered with old leaves, It's only what the camera sees that matters. So when you have that mentality, you can, I think, do a lot more, because then you can get secondhand stuff, use it in the right way, and get great results. You don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to create a very viable, small little studio. Now, this studio is not good in any way, shape, or form for two people talking, like doing a podcast or an interview. It looks good from one angle only. So one talking head is ideal. Anyway, so we shot content here for clients for the last year and a half for Greenlight Studio. And then we had YouTubers come through, shoot courses, a lot of YouTube content for different channels. I found that to be nice, but also a bit of a hassle. It was fun, but it's a bit of a hassle. It's not really what we do. And it allowed me to kind of dabble in that and go, you know what? There's other people doing a much better job with podcast studios, like my friend Charlotte, like my friend Cyril and Nin here in Chiang Mai. Why don't I let them focus on that? I can send business their way. I can set this up at my house or in my new little office space, and just whenever I need to shoot content, I flip on the lights and boom, we're ready to go. So if you're going to be putting together your own content, don't think you need to spend a lot of money. You probably have a phone that will look just as good as a fancy camera. You can get a couple lights, and what you can do is watch some videos, play around with it, spend some time, put the phone maybe further away and zoom in a little bit, and then you can kind of frame things, put a nice light on your face, have a teleprompter of some sort. There's really affordable teleprompters you can get nowadays online. You don't need to spend a lot. I would say spend more time thinking about your content. How are you solving problems and making it interesting for your target audience? And then, the distribution of that, repurposing of that, instead of spending a ton of money on the studio itself. I think that was the biggest mistake I saw from people coming in and wanting to rent this place. Even though the rent was cheap and they could produce good content, I didn't see a lot of people coming back because they just didn't really know what they were doing yet. They hadn't figured out that bit yet. And then start putting together a few things, right? You probably have a space that you could kind of set up like this somewhere. Good luck. Thanks for coming along for the full studio tour. I'm sorry for talking and talking and talking. Oh, the last thing. Here, come here, and I'll show you what's on the other side of this. So this is time I can finally do this. We carried it down, and we can look out the window. Used car dealership. I had to put this foam up to kind of cut down on the sound. But yeah, I mean, they're working on cars out there and banging on engines. Even with some of the sound insulation, if they were really taking a sledgehammer to an engine, you'd be sitting here, and with our microphone and stuff, you really wouldn't hear it on the final version. But it was annoying. You just bam, bam. So anyway, this is how you can get professional looking content and fool your audience into thinking that you got this really slick studio. This is how you do it. So thanks.